Hey you guys, so I have an update to this debt clock message. I'm going to try and make this fast, okay? But you see all of the foreign currency in the background, and we touched up on this the other day, okay? And we see all of the commodities or the assets being mined, and America is in like this big like mining sifter thing. But the most important thing that I want to go over is the foreign currency in the background. We have the new USA dollar, and the US debt clock has been telling us it's the new USA Treasury dollar. And it says dividend, it's money reinvented, it's going to be digital. And with all of this foreign currency in the background, we know that all of these other nations, especially with BRICS, are backing their currencies with their country's resources, especially gold, especially oil. So I found it very interesting that they had the background with the foreign currency. We have been keeping up with the status of the foreign currency and the change in the exchange rates. And we have been waiting for years for this, okay? And the most important one that we've been waiting for is Iraq to initiate their exchange rates and make their new exchange rates international. And once Iraq goes, everybody goes. And Iraq cannot go without NESARA and GESARA. And yesterday we had al-Sudani from Iraq who gave a speech at the UN meeting announcing that the Iraqi dinar will be going international.
Put Iraq, its people, its security, sovereignty, and prosperity first, and we move with confidence. And we go on erasing the traces of the past, including groups, doctorates, and terrorism, just as we are proceeding with the reconstruction of Iraq and placing it in its regional and international status that it deserves. Peace, mercy, and blessings of God.
And then I wake up to this beautiful message from Goldilocks saying that October 1st, 2024 is the end of price manipulation, meaning price manipulation with gold and especially with silver around the world. SOFR supports real values starting October 1st of 2024. That's a post from Goldilocks. Goldilocks goes on to say SOFR is a broad measure of the cost of borrowing cash overnight collateralized by U.S. Treasury securities in the repurchase agreement repo market. This shift in overnight loans will now come from the U.S. Treasury securities to banks, markets, and more. SOFR, or Secured Overnight Financing Rate, is a benchmark interest rate that measures the cost of borrowing cash overnight. It's used by financial institutions to set interest rates for other businesses and borrowers. Globally, all banks and all trading systems will now be synchronized through a secured overnight financing rate on October 1st, 2024. While this is taking place, several shipping ports, and we need to pay attention to the shipping ports on the East Coast and Gulf Coast areas are expected to go on strike that same day. This will provide an opportunity for our shipping ports to switch the system over from LIBOR to SOFR overnight repo rates. It will switch 80% of our trades plus over to the U.S. Treasury lending services. And then Goldilocks says XRP and XLM will be the first movers. And how convenient is it that all of these things are taking place October 1st, which is the 1-year anniversary of the U.S. debt clock sending out these messages. And then October 2nd, we have the solar eclipse, which is the same day as Rosh Hashanah, which is the Jewish New Year. That's October 2nd. And then October 3rd begins the Feast of Trumpets and is also the day that Iraq celebrates their Independence Day. And we've also been told that Iraq likes to do things very substantial. They're very particular on how they do things, because all substantial matters have to fall on an important day that aligns with their religious ceremonies. And I believe all of their ceremonies take place the same week that we have all of this stuff happening astrologically biblically. You guys, we went over all of that. All of that falls on the same week. Now I'm going to end with part of this video that Freedom Fighter put out regarding the Goldilocks Global Banking News. They talk about that the reset begins October 1st, okay? The U.S. Treasury flips the switch October 1st, 2024. They talk about the port strike. You guys, I'm just going to end it with this video. You guys pay attention, okay?
And with that being said, Goldilocks shares something else happening on October, specifically October the 1st. It's an announcement called the SOFR announcement, which stands for Standard Overnight Financial Rate. This is the beginning stages of the gold standard. Standard Overnight Financial Rate in itself is what solidifies money into the banking system overnight. Before, ladies and gentlemen, it would take several days for banks to make settlement of billions or trillions of dollars. It will be overnight, beginning October the 1st, as a result of the Standard Overnight Financing Rate, called SOFR, SOFR. This shift in overnight loans will now come from the United States Department of Treasury Securities to banks, markets, and more. The Secured Overnight Financing Rate is a benchmark interest rate that measures the cost of borrowing cash overnight. It's used by financial institutions to set interest rates for other businesses and borrowers. Globally, all banks and all trading systems will now be synchronized through the Secured Overnight Financing Rate on October the 1st. It's a standard, and it sets a global standard called Secured Overnight Financing Rate. While this is taking place, ladies and gentlemen, several shipping ports also on October the 1st on the East Coast and Gulf Coast, they're expected to go on strike. This will provide an opportunity for our shipping ports to switch their systems from the former system to the new system of secured overnight rates. It will switch, Goldilocks says, it will absolutely switch 80% of our trades plus over to the U.S. Treasury lending services. Interest rates, including the secured overnight financing rate, can affect exchange rates. No, Goldilocks is not stating that it would be a reset overnight, but it can affect the rates and moving forward. With interest rates in one country are higher than another, investors may be more likely to invest in the country's currency. The economic growth and asset prices have a large effect on what's about to happen. So the secured overnight financing rate, it's a benchmark interest rate that financial institutions use to price loans and set rates for currency swaps and other financial products. The alternative reference rates selected the secured overnight financing rate as a replacement. Goldilocks continues to say, watch the water. Folks, you must realize what will happen on October the 1st is when the switch is turned on for the new banking system. There is no coincidence that October the 1st is a looming strike with the ports where currencies are grossly affected. It's no coincidence that on October the 1st, a new rule goes into effect into the record books, whereby all large banks have new capital requirements, which include gold as their reserves, specifically for large banks. It is gold that triggers the global currency reset. must pay attention to. You may even look past it